Hello everyone, Chris Sawyer here. The Varietal Show is back, and look at this. This is chocolate, and it is made by none other than Phillip Ashley, who's sitting right here with me from Memphis. He's in town in Napa Valley. Woo! This is happening. And I've got Diana Schweiger, who is here with Acumen Wines. We are at their tasting room right downtown in Napa, and this is going to be a fun talk about wine and chocolate, you guys. So hang on, get ready, let's do this.
Yes.
All right, hey, so just to start out with you, everyone, we're in a tight space here because there's three of us, and but that's okay with us because we were on a show together.
Yes.
And this is funny because it was last year, which is 2021. You guys might remember it or you're trying to forget it, but it did exist this one year that we had. But we had a great time, and it was a little bit before Valentines Day that we did a show, and that's where I got to know Phillip and his great chocolate. This man is making some of the finest chocolate in the world right now, everyone. And the wonderful thing is you got a great award in 2020 from Oprah, of all people.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so first of all, thanks for having me. This is awesome. I love being here already. So.
It's an honor to have you here finally after a year of all of this virtual chocolate and wine pairing.
To do it in person is really cool.
Finally,
so,
yeah.
Right, but no, so 2020, Oprah's favorite things, and so we were on her list for our turtles actually. So we do these really nice 4-ounce turtles, caramel and pecan, caramel and cashews, a whiskey caramel pecan even, and so something just really cool and different than your traditional turtles, playing off of a traditional candy and turning it into something a bit more fantastical with the larger pieces and that sort of thing.
So is this something she special ordered from you?
So they found us via our virtual tastings. Actually, I think her team found us on our virtual tastings, and so they were like, we want to try this, this, and this. So we sent several things actually. They liked them all, but that's what they decided to pick. And because again, it was just a massive turtle, and so that was what won her over, fortunately. And so yeah, we were on the list last year.
Turtles will get you places, everyone.
Yes,
if you can make them right. Now that's a good point here. So I love the story that you told when we did this, and we'll give Cellar Pass TV. Amazing Zoom shows that I did with them last year, and
The Vineyard Vixen.
and the Vineyard Vixen. She's the best. And Jonathan, love you, brother. But you know, I was going back over that whole thing, and you told a little bit of the story. I mean, you kind of came about being a chocolatier in steps along the way, and it started at the age of 5, if I'm not mistaken, with Grandma. Tell us a little bit about this.
A very atypical path for food, culinary, and especially chocolate. So yeah, grew up around food, grew up around cooking. Didn't come up in a restaurant family, but you know, cooking was definitely core to my family, and particularly my grandmother. You know, she was a big gardener. She grew a lot of her own food. She was big into flowers, roses in particular, and that sort of thing. And so she was known around the city for you know, flowers, and she did a lot of those competitions and stuff like that. Huge pecan trees and that sort of thing. So just kind of grew up around a lot of chores. So having to pick pecans and pick peppers and green beans and yams, sweet potatoes, and so all that. So just kind of grew up around this, and I really started learning how to cook because, you know, I was actually, you know, a boy, 5 years old. You see a flame, you want to play with fire, and I was like, oh, let me try to play with this, and trying to figure out. And like, wait, you're not about to burn my house down, so you got to use this thing. But even then, I just remember she used to just kind of let me, you know, mix. You know, just kind of put stuff in bowls, and you know, none of that stuff was really edible at the time. But I learned how to bake from her. I learned how to cook. I learned how to, you know, smoke, grill, all those different things, and ate a lot of. You know, then I ate a lot of raw foods, a lot of raw vegetables. So would eat turnips like apples, all that kind of stuff. And so I think without knowing, you know, that just really helped coach my palate even as a young kid, because I ate a lot of different things that I normally wouldn't have eaten, or most kids don't necessarily get exposed to. So.
Now, was this also in Tennessee? Because that's where you're based right now.
Oh,
in Memphis,
Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah. So Memphis, Tennessee. Even my other grandmother, pretty similar. She lived in an area called Woodstock, which is just right outside of Memphis. It's also, you know, just a small area. So she had a large piece of land, and so just a lot of food and things like
Yeah.
that. But that's what family did, kind of hung out, cooked, and
Amazing.
that's what. And then just kind of fast track, over time. Went to school for chemistry, ended up going into the business world. And along the way, woke up 3 o'clock in the morning one day and said, you know what? I want to make chocolate for a living and become a chocolatier. And that was just kind of that was 2007. So
Yeah.
it just
Look
kind
at
of,
where he's at now, you
Yeah,
guys. I mean,
yeah.
It's amazing.
How did you like
So
your
this is-
chemistry classes though?
I love, science
did?
was my thing. I was always
Okay.
in, science and sports. It was
Yeah.
something I was always
Sports,
into.
okay.
Again, you kind of grow up, go get a job, be a lawyer, be a doctor, be a teacher, whatever it is. And,
Yeah.
Well, if that was in 2007,
Mhm.
then we are officially celebrating your 15-year anniversary as a chocolatier.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
We're
yeah.
the first ones to do it
Right,
in
right.
2002.
All right.
Yeah.
It is only day
Yes.
4. All right.
Right.
Happy
So,
anniversary.
thank you. It's been a
Wow.
long time, and so I finally opened the store or in our production shop in 2012. So 2012 was our when I officially launched the company, and then 2013 was our first retail store.
Yeah.
So
All right.
Well, we're going to go into some of the cool styles of chocolate that
Yes.
he makes too. He does some crazy stuff, you guys, like crazy things like with the barbecue style and,
Yeah.
and uni and things like
Yeah,
this. Like
yeah.
you're like, oh, really with chocolate?
Yeah.
Yes, it can happen if you do it right. But I do want to show you once again just what a great artist this man is. And if you can't see it, I mean, these pieces here, and I don't want to tip them over too much, but they are so beautiful, and I want to eat them all.
Right.
I just want to eat them. But before we get there, let's talk to Diana. Diana Schweiger, who, we kind of knew who each other were a long time ago because your family, the Schweigers, like the great winery up on top of Spring Mountain.
Yes.
And then we became super buds when you started here.
Yeah.
And we started doing shows together and having fun and tasting these wines. The Acumen label is, these wines are made from up on Atlas Peak. It's about 116 acres planted, right?
Total. Yep. 160.
Total.
Mhm.
Made by another Phillip. This Phillip, Phillip Ashley.
And we
And
have
then there's
Phillip
Phillip Titus, who
Yes.
has joined the team more recently.
Almost 2 years ago.
Almost 2 years ago. So some really great things. But Atlas Peak is really special. We got to do an amazing thing at the end of last year where we really got to showcase what's happened up in Atlas Peak. And this was at Silverado Golf and Country Club.
Yeah, that was a
And
great tasting.
We had an amazing time, and I got to say one thing. Napa Valley is great, you guys, but the smaller areas of Napa Valley are so special, and I think one that really is catching everyone's attention right now is Atlas Peak, and one of the reasons is because this vineyard is so damn good. And tell us a little bit about this, and
Sure.
just you've seen this brand go.
Yeah, I have. And Atlas Peak is actually really, truly unique and is new to me as a kid that, basically grew up on top of Spring Mountain. One of my very first job interview tactics was to get in the back of the F-350 and run around with the vineyard manager just to learn about the vineyards and the unique difference of the terroir versus where I had been raised. And I gotta say, it is definitely, it's like the high desert. I even took my kids up there, and my son said, Mom, this is like Arizona, but only in the mountains.
Okay.
And the other thing, speaking of anniversaries, this is actually Acumen's 10th anniversary because our owners purchased it in 2012.
Here, here.
So,
Cheers to that. Yay.
yeah, so definitely. And no, thanks for that reminder. I appreciate you having your 15th, so I can remember it's our 10th. It's been, I remembered that back in October. December was just so busy.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Dr. Jan Krupp is who we purchased this property from back in 2012. And one of the things that he was a pioneer up there. Everybody was saying how difficult it was going to be to grow vineyards and terrace vines up there to grow vinifera grapes, and he is the one that did it. And he actually planted the very infamous Stagecoach Vineyard, which was purchased. It's a 500-acre piece of vineyard land.
Amazing.
And we have still, as you said, Chris, 116 acres. 85 acres is actually known for our Edcora vineyard, though, that bottle right there.
And we'll talk about this in detail.
Yeah, this vineyard right here, which is a little bit of our higher elevation. We also have the Atlas vineyard, which is a bit smaller, and it's a little cooler climate, its own unique terroir over there. And then we have this peak, which this is exciting. This is our new release. This is our 2019.
It's delicious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the one we showed actually at that
Yeah.
Atlas Peak
Yeah.
ABA tasting, because we sold through the 18s so quickly. And when we worked together a year ago on the Valentine's Day promotion, and you made the it was the 2016 vintage of the Edcora, which Edcora it's named after it's a rare red diamond that was in the Smithsonian. So I figured, what better way to showcase a wine for Valentine's Day than featuring something that is a red diamond from the Edcora vineyard. So that was the 16. This is the 18 that we're going to be enjoying today. And then we'll have the 19 Peak Cabernet Sauvignon. And the 19 is actually, this Peak Cab is a combination, a blend of both the two vineyards.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
so
nice.
I don't know that you've actually had that. I think we just shipped you a bunch of Edcora.
You did. Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So that leads us into those.
Yeah. Well, the wonderful thing that, I'm a big fan of this brand. Acumen is amazing, and I got so many opportunities over the past year to really work with you and do some fun things. We got to go to Telluride together.
That was a blast.
We
Thank
had
you so much for having me on that
Yeah,
trip with you.
We
That
had an
was so
amazing
fun.
time there.
You
and-
need to come next time.
I'm there.
You come with Acumen.
Yes,
we'll have
we'll
tables
go.
together.
Yes,
Yeah.
that'd
So,
be awesome.
I mean, you could come here in Napa and you could come right here. The wonderful thing is that Phillip is staying right across the street. He was like looking up a map. Where do we go to?
And I was
It's
like, oh.
250 feet away from his hotel.
Just
We're
walks
talking
down past-
downtown
Right.
Napa.
Past the coffee shop across the street.
Right across the street.
It's right here, you guys. It's right here for you. But
It's super easy. And there's a ton of really cool wineries down here you can visit.
Oh, yeah.
Vineyard 29 just moved in
oh, I
across
know
the
it's
street.
right across the
Okay.
street.
Yeah, Robin Baggett has a shop set up down the street at Alpha Omega.
I
love.
the Baggets. Yeah.
They're great. Michelle and
Yeah,
Robin are
Michelle,
such
they're
great people.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Kudos to you guys. And they love your vineyard too.
They do.
They do
Yeah,
love
they
your
do.
vineyard.
Yeah.
So, but the great thing is too that we're just taking you to Telluride just really proved a lot of the points there, and we did a great seminar on high elevation wines, and guess what? Who else was I going to take with me? High elevation, baby,
Actually,
is what Acumen is all
experts.
about. Atlas Peak is up there. It's off Silverado Trail, but you can't see it because it's up on the plateau there in the Vaca Mountains. It's a crazy windy road that goes way up there. It's about 20 minutes, but it's not an easy drive. You just
No,
don't
it's-
point and you go like this. You're going.
And there's hardly any guardrails. That's the reason we have the shop down here and the tasting room down here, because it's just too crazy to get up there. I describe it as if we're here in Whoville, it's like getting to the Grinch's home up in that top of that mountain.
Yeah.
Because as you said, it's twisty, windy, straight down cliffs, and hardly any guardrails.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's just this wine is tasting so great right now, and it's a wonderful introduction to the Peak program. This is a high tier program. This is a starting point, and you understand Peak because it's up there. This is a place that is a really great blend of the sites and different little blocks there, and they're all planted basically on rocks.
So we have two tiers to the brand. So we have within the Acumen brand.
Yeah.
We have what's called our Peak tier, which is what we're tasting here,
Yeah.
and we have our Mountainside tier.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how the winemaker goes about making these grapes is it's all barrel. It's first lot selection and then barrel selection. And so first he determines what's going to go into the single vineyards, either the Atlas or the Edcora.
Yeah.
And after those wines are determined, he comes up with the blend. And it's not just taking 50% here, 50% there. It's like seriously what's going to represent the best for this particular vintage. And he's going to go through tasting trials and just decide, okay, this is going to be the best representation for this 2019.
Yeah.
From there, we take everything and we blend it into the Mountainside Cab. And so the Peak tier is essentially sold directly out of this tasting room and then to a few markets. I just did some really successful wine dinners actually in the Naples market over in Florida.
Okay.
And yeah, those country club people, they just wanted the peak cab all day long. And then we have the Mountainside Cab, which is at some of the other chain markets and in some by the glass programs at high-end restaurants. And so Peak is primarily known for the 3 cabs we make. We also have a Sauvignon Blanc.
Yep,
And
a very good Sauvignon Blanc.
$75 bottle of Sauvignon Blanc, and it is
It's worth it.
all worth it. And that all comes from the Atlas Vineyard. The other thing that came from the Atlas Vineyard is our rosé that we're making now also. But the cool thing about, so that's basically how our cab program works.
Yep. Fantastic stuff. Now, Phillip Titus is a really great winemaker, you guys, and the wonderful thing that some people may or may not know him from another brand, Chocolatier. Anyone hear of that brand? He's a winemaker there too. So the man knows his mountain fruit, and I really appreciate that, and how he does this kind of chemistry project to kind of really get the best flavors out of these wines. And speaking of chemistry project, back to this Phillip, and you are a mad scientist, my friend. I keep thinking about all the kinds of creative chocolate delights that you make. Tell us a little bit about what got you so to be the mad scientist.
So I'll tell you, a lot of it stems from, I said, you know what, I've always been fascinated by the whole Willy Wonka story and I said, you know what, I want to recreate that stick of gum. Where he has the tomato soup, the roast beef, the potatoes, and then the blueberry pie. I said, well, as long as we don't have to juice anyone at the end, we're in good shape. So, but no, that's truly where they go. So I always had this crazy imagination. It was like, with chocolate, it just seemed to be this platform, this palette, this canvas that allowed me to just really kind of, really bring those imaginations to life. And so, doing things like with blue cheese versus just the cheesecake chocolates, and also just kind of merging and fusing my passion for cooking and the culinary expertise and just in bringing all those things together, well, if we can put it on a plate or if it goes in a glass, let's figure out a way to put it into a bonbon. And so that's really where all the different flavors, and then finally the last piece that kind of brings it all together is, really go after telling stories. This is really my way of telling stories and of the people that I meet, the places that I've gone, the things I've eaten, right, and just the experiences overall.
Which that ties into what you did last year for the 4th of July. You did a box of chocolates.
Listen to this, you guys.
Tell us about
impressive.
the United States of America box.
Right, and we still have a show. We do something called the Taste of America, and it's like, I've been to a lot of places. I haven't been to all 50, but I've been to most, and so it's like, how cool would it be to create a box that really represents the country? And as we've been doing since March 2020, we were doing these virtual tastings, and the more I would talk to Chris's and Diana's and people all over the place, and well, what does Idaho taste like other than, potatoes? So, or what does Ohio taste like? Oh, we have pawpaw, that kind of thing. And so, just really learning from people and then from the things that I've been able to experience. And so we made a chocolate for every state in the country. And so, Louisiana's a Sazerac rye, pecan praline, banana foster. So a couple layers going on there. So and now each state. So the first version, the first run, we painted them all white to look like the stars on the flag.
Right.
And then we decided now going forward, each piece has the icon of the state in gold on it. So California, the shape of California is in gold. Hawaii, Alaska, and so on. So each piece has its own unique, characteristic. They're all dark white, milk, blonde couvertures. So it's just a really cool, very visually, aesthetically pleasing box, but also all the flavors, ranging from strawberry hot sauce from North Carolina mesquite for Arizona, key lime for Florida,
Of course.
California actually. So we actually use your mountainside and
Right?
Okay.
So Acumen is the taste of California.
There.
I love it.
Got it.
That's such a great
So-
concept. I love it.
And that's
Thank
one
you.
of our most popular chocolates, and we get a lot
Is
of great
it?
feedback from that piece.
Go figure.
Do we get to be it again for 22?
Well, we're keeping it in there.
Yeah, woo! I love
So,
it.
yeah, so
Okay.
people really enjoy that piece.
I love it, love it. This is just so exciting. Here you are in Napa.
Yes.
You're staying right across the street from
Yeah.
here too. By the
Yeah.
way. Let me bring
Great
this
hotel.
back together. What gets you about wine? What do you love about wine?
Well, I'll tell you.
You went to some good places yesterday, didn't you?
Because
not?
this is how we got to meet.
Yes,
Actually,
yes.
is you had
I'll tell you.
somehow found a bottle of the Mountainside
Yeah,
Cab in Memphis,
yeah.
and you started talking about it on your social media.
Exactly. So I'll tell you specifically how it happened. John Vigo, who is one of my friends, he's with Buster's in Memphis.
Oh,
But
Buster's
he's like a
big time.
Yeah, he's a
Big
big
time.
wine guy, and Buster's they're huge, but he knows his wine, and I was like, hey, I'm looking for this, looking for a couple things, and he recommended it. So
That's really cool.
he is adamant about finding, as you were saying, those that know their fruit and that sort of thing, and that's his thing. But anyway, no, he gave me a couple bottles to test, and just one day, I think I was having something for the staff. I ordered pizza, and I was like, I want to, and the bottle just came. I was like, hey, why not? And so I did just a quick video of me pouring a glass of wine, and that's how we ended up.
Yeah.
I tagged you guys, I
Yeah.
believe. And so that's how we connected. So your social media person saw it and then connected me with you, and one thing led to the
Social
other.
media is important, everyone.
Yeah,
Don't forget that.
Adriana, she was on that,
Yeah.
and she started ordering a whole bunch of chocolate
She
from you
did.
too.
Yes,
Like,
thankfully,
yes.
thankfully. But in terms of wine and really, particularly in the U.S., you think Napa first. There's some other great wine places, of
Absolutely.
course,
sure
but
there are.
plenty of places. But and so I think again, what fascinates me, even from talking to you over the year, where we visited so far. Again, I find a connection to the stories because it seems like every winemaker, every the person that started the winery, all the way down to the folks that are putting the labels on the bottle, are all connected to the story of the wine. And no two wines, even in the same house, but particularly between two wineries, are the same.
Exactly.
Everyone has a different perspective.
Yeah.
Everyone is striving for excellence and perfection, and I think that's the cool thing about it. So.
Yeah. And you were at a couple of wineries yesterday, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Jarvis, Dariouche, two
Yeah,
great
nice.
ones. I mean, and that's again, everyone is so well versed, obviously, because they've done nothing but lived and breathed wine. And so and I heard the name Phillip Titus at least 5 times yesterday, and they didn't even know I was coming here. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, that name came
Phillip.
up several times.
So,
Yeah.
Philip, maybe we need to make a chocolate.
Yeah.
Just for
That's
Phillip.
Just one called
Yeah.
Philip.
Yeah, that would
Not
be cool.
Phillip.
Well, that would be out of the Cabernet Franc, because
Yeah,
that's how
okay.
he knows our vineyard so well. Is because Chapelet, in addition to Farniente
Yeah.
and Camus, they buy our fruit
Yeah.
off of our Edcora vineyard.
Okay.
And that's how he is so familiar with our fruit and our
Yeah.
vineyards. And so it was just
Yeah.
really, a no-brainer
So
that
great.
he came here and started making our wine.
Sure.
And we have not made a Cabernet Franc in the past, but we are going to start making one. So we're going to, and so
That
we
would be
did.
awesome.
We did start that with the 21 vintage, and
Okay.
we actually had a meeting about this yesterday.
Yeah.
What's the packaging going to look like?
Sure.
So it's
Well,
going to be.
I'd love to do something with that. And, but that's my point. The preparation and the time and the thoughtfulness and everything that goes into, you're not just saying, oh, let's go smash up some grapes. I mean, it's a very
No, you guys
refined
remind me of
process.
each other. That's what's so interesting about
Okay,
it. Because
cool,
you
cool.
really are experts, but you put your passion into it. And
Yeah.
you can really taste in these wines, you can really taste in your chocolate.
Mhm.
They're both artistic renderings,
Yeah.
especially the style that you make, and I mean what he puts into these bottles, and how he's able to capture that specific vineyard and these special grapes. And here we
Yeah.
go into the Edcora right here,
Yep.
and that's the one that
This
we were
one right
talking
here.
about. This The big boy. This is the big one. You got a couple hundred points on this
We did.
already, you know.
Yeah.
I think you released, the first release was in
14.
2014, okay.
We had the very first release in 2014,
Okay.
came out with it in the 15, and Thomas Highland gave it a 100-point score. Put it out for
Nice.
submission
Right.
again, 16, got a 100-point score. And that's the thing, though, across the board, these wines, we have this one card, and it's got the wine reviewers up top, and then the scores that we just plug in
Sure,
for each of
sure.
the specific vintages. I have never worked with, in my 30 years, actually coming up on 31 years now, with one winery, one brand that has consistently received such great scores.
Yeah.
All 90
And
points
that's
and
not,
above.
and that's not getting 100 is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
Like, you can't study for that sort of thing. But it's
No,
one
not
of
at all.
those-
Yeah.
And
So,
what I really like about this wine, and I kind of went back on my notes because we were tasting the 2015, we tasted the 2016. This is a newer vintage here, which is a
18.
2018, which is an awesome vintage
Yeah,
just
it's great.
overall, you guys. I mean, you want to talk about a great vintage for Napa Valley. 2018, 2019 is pretty good too.
2018, 2019, they were both
Oh,
dream
man,
vintages.
there,
as
okay,
far
'cause
as
that's the
the-
19 right there.
Yeah.
What I like about it, this one is approachable and wonderful. This
Mhm.
first wine that we tasted,
Yeah.
this one is been consistently concentrated. Each time I taste it, it's tasting good. It fills the whole mouth. It's got these little action things that are going on all over the place. But you can also, I mean, it's good when it's young. It needs a little bit of time in that glass, and that's why we chose the big glasses
Yeah.
for this, because that's your little mini decanter. Well, it's not mini, but it is a decanter for you guys.
Well,
That's
even-
why big glasses do make a difference. But
Drinking
also,
this at home, you'd want this
Yeah.
in a bigger glass like
yeah,
that.
exactly. Cheers on that.
Absolutely.
Cheers,
Yeah.
cheers.
Cheers.
Lots
Yeah.
of reasons to cheer here.
So,
But you know, I just think that the concentrated flavors are really reflective of the personality of that vineyard
Yes.
and that setting up there, which gets good sunshine during the day. It's not as hot up there during the day as it is down here in Napa Valley proper. But at night, that heat rises, and you do that from your family back there on Spring Mountain.
That's just the magic of the mountains here in Napa Valley that we all enjoy. If you're above 1,300 feet, that diurnal shift
Yeah.
that happens, where, like what you were saying, Chris, the cooler air will rise up, and just or come down, I should
Yeah.
say, rise up during the day from the night, and keep things a little bit cooler during the daytime, and then it just stays at a nice even 70 to 80 degrees during the evenings.
Yeah, it's just amazing up there, and I just really want to emphasize how much Atlas Peak has grown in popularity and why it's getting 100 points, and why Acumen is such a great example of that. But there's so many other great vintners up there too, so please look up the Atlas Peak website, because it's awesome. And it's just, I really am super supportive of it. I got to be the honorary on the honorary board for them this year, and I felt so great being there with you guys and walking around and tasting wines from people I hadn't heard of them, and they were amazing.
Yeah.
So that's why Atlas Peak is a hidden treasure here. Obviously, we already know about hidden treasures right here with chocolate, and it's just great. What do you think about this one, Phil?
I mean, actually, the
This
first
is your
word-
vintage, you know?
Yeah, the first word that came up said, "This is an emotional glass of wine."
Oh, I like
Emotional
it.
glass of
Emotional.
Like it's creamy in a sense. Like you can just taste the history of the land, and even like from some of the other wines that I've had, even over the last couple of days. Obviously, great winemakers, but you can tell that Phillip, the person that made this wine, didn't just say, "Well, I'm gonna," you want the fruit and you want the world and the earth to do its thing, but he really imposed his will on this.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
And you can taste that this was definitely handcrafted. It's in terms, you don't normally hear that with wine, but this is something like this was made.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and then it was just he let the fruit do its thing.
Yeah.
The soil clearly, you have fantastic vineyards, and then you have someone that totally understands how to take those things and make something with it.
He just likes to call the two vineyards his spice rack,
Yeah,
and
I totally hear that.
and I get exactly what you're saying is what he communicates to us when he is making these wines, and you know, whether or not he's blending from each of the two vineyards, the Edcor and the Atlas, or he is doing barrel blending or lot blending even from those two specific vineyards. But you're right, it's you know, he uses the best of what is available to us from those two vineyards and does it, you know, it's very, you took chemistry, very scientific when it comes down to it, as far as, you know, and his palate, his natural palate.
I mean,
I've sat here with him and observed.
Yeah, I mean, his family, I mean,
meticulousness.
Philip's family owns vineyards too. I mean,
Yes,
and that's how I got to know the Titus name, was because of the Titus wines, you know.
Right.
That's he and I have a lot of fun actually comparing how we've, you know,
The Schweigers and the Tituses,
and then we've come together here at Acumen.
This is old school, you guys.
You can
Not nouveau riche. This is old school families here.
Yeah, and Philip and I weren't Silver Spoon Napa Valley kids either. I mean, I joke.
So
I've
you
been.
worked like it.
Yeah. I've been, you know, child labor since I was young.
Well, I got to say, on your little label here, it says every chocolate should tell a story.
Yeah.
And I love that. And each one of these chocolates is very different from one another.
Sure.
You've been very creative. You've done some crazy kinds of chocolate. Tell us a little bit about some of your crazy experimentation.
Yeah. I mean, we've done a lot of really cool. You mentioned one. We did a dinner where we basically chocolate for dinner, and so we took chocolates and had a chef who picked ingredients. And uni was one, sea urchin, and he was like, okay, so I made a caramel. So one is just kind of understanding what the food is, what the ingredient is. And so you look at something like uni, it's very custardy, it has a brine to it, which is that kind of sea salt aspect. And so it's like, well, this will make a great caramel. And so breaking it down, and what I've really learned and really studied and been able to do partially because chemistry has been able to basically take matter and change it. And so you don't want to get rid of it, but you know, celebrate it in a different way, if you will. And so, you know, taking the uni, turning it into a really nice caramel, and so taking the properties that it already has and accentuating it into something that would be more of a sweet dessert, but it's not coldly sweet. It's just got the nice, you know, all the umami from the uni.
Listen to this guy.
Wow.
Amazing.
So that kind of thing, to monkfish liver.
Would it go in one of these little?
So in these we didn't, but just because something like that, the shelf life is pretty volatile. But
Okay.
these though, we have things like that blue one is a French blue cheese chocolate.
Oh, that one's so good.
Yes, so
I love
French
that.
blue cheese to a Caribbean hot sauce. There's one that's goat cheese, pork wine, and fig jam. There's even a carrot cake in there. That's one of the things that my mom loves the most, and she baked all the time. So
I've had
that's
that
actually,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
so carrot cake, and we literally take, so we have her bake cake and take it and turn it into the ganache that's in
No
the
way.
filling. Yeah, so there's that. So we don't flavor the filling or the ganache with things that make it taste like carrot cake. There's literally carrot cake blended into it, and so
Look at those.
everything like sweet potato.
I remember the sweet potato one.
that's this one right
Oh,
here.
Yep, that was so good.
Even things like we take cashews and candy them with Thai curry, and so this is a Thai curry candied cashew bonbon, and so on and on. So key lime pie. That was one of the first ones where I was like, well, why does anyone put in the pie? When I was going out and tasting chocolates, you saw a lot of key lime chocolates. It would be white milk, dark chocolate, whatever, and it would just be zest and ganache, zest and infused.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I really want to put the pie in there. So the crust layer, we do a milk chocolate layer, we blend graham cracker into that, but it's still smooth, homogeneous, like you're not crunching down on anything. And then the other layer is obviously the key lime custard, which is mascarpone and key lime juice for us, and so and white chocolate. But yeah. So just a very, and I'm constantly tinkering around with new flavors, and you know, how do we impart, you know, the richness of a wine such as this, or you know, even whiskeys, and how do we recreate cocktails like an old fashioned or what have you. And so, and it's again about celebrating the chocolate, because we never want to take whatever we're making to overpower the chocolate, but we don't want the chocolate to overpower the inspiration either, because if it says sweet potato, we want you to taste
Yeah.
sweet potato.
Yeah.
Right.
Amazing stuff, you guys. I'm very excited about this. I'm always excited to have
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
chocolate. How can people get a hold of your chocolate?
Yeah, so go to PhillipAshleyChocolates.com. 2 L's in Phillip. I don't know how Phillip Titus spells his. One or
Yes,
2 L's.
same way.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like them
2
even more
L's.
now. So
It's Phillip Ashley, not Phillip Titus.
Yes.
Phillip
Yes.
Ashley.
Phillip Ashley. You can go to Instagram at Phillip Ashley, 2 L's, ASHLEY. And you can find us on Facebook, Phillip Ashley Chocolates. But if you go to PhillipAshleyChocolates.com or just Google Phillip Ashley, it'll pop up. And we ship worldwide. And so that's the cool thing. So if you're outside of the U.S., right from our website, we offer international shipping. So you don't even have to do anything extra.
And
So,
Memphis-based, don't forget that.
Yes.
It's one of the great cities of the United States.
yes.
and,
Also
you
I
know,
stayed at Peabody there,
yeah.
watching the
Yeah.
ducks.
Cool.
I mean, you can get this for Valentine's Day. You can get it for weddings. You can get it for
Just
everyday consumption,
Yeah.
you guys,
Every day.
which is what we
Indulge.
do with wine, right?
Every indulgence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And have it
Aren't
with
we
your
worth
Acumen
this?
wine.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nothing
No,
to
this is awesome. And how can we get our hands on
Yes.
some of the great Acumen wines?
This-
AcumenWine.com. That's it. Super easy.
Easiest thing ever.
We have all our current releases listed up on the website, and if you want to call us and have a conversation, you can also call 707-492-8336. And like I said, if you go to AcumenWine.com, not plural, just AcumenWine, singular.com, we have everything up there on the website that's available to order.
Such a fitting
Yeah.
thing. too.
And you know we're
Acumen,
gonna do
yeah.
another show together, Diana and I. We have a great shared friend, Chili Davis,
Yeah.
and we will get Chili Davis again, the great baseball star who played for the San Francisco Giants,
Big wine.
and
He's
a
a
great
big
wine
wine
fan.
fan. Oh.
We've done shows with him before, and we are going to get him on the Varietal Show as well.
Yes.
There's no doubt. And Chili and I have talked about it. You and I have talked about it. Wait for that show, you guys.
That's gonna be a
Especially,
lot of fun.
I think springtime, getting him on the show with us, or,
Yeah.
or maybe doing another broadcast together, just on Instagram Live or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
We're getting you, Chili. Don't forget that.
Yep.
But it's so great having you here with
Thank
us,
you so
Phillip.
much.
I mean,
Thank you.
and
Yeah, thank
congratulations on your wonderful new wedding.
Yes.
Just married?
Just married.
72 hours ago.
Friday.
Wow.
Yes.
That's so
Unbelievable.
great.
Excited. Yes,
Yeah, so
thank
that's why I did bring up weddings too. So you need wedding
Yes.
presents. Remember
Yes.
this guy.
We can do it for you. Yes.
Amazing chocolates. I mean,
Thank you
I
so much.
just
Amazing wine.
we were completely
Thank you.
delighted by this, and it's just great having you here in wine country. And don't forget about these two brands. I mean, you've got the Phillip Ashley Chocolates, and then you've also got Acumen Wines.
Thank you, Chris.
So you got it. Definitely. Thanks once again, everyone, and we
Cheers.
will see you again on the Varietal Show.
Cheers.